Okay, first question. Are you ready?
Ready.
When were you diagnosed with cystic fibrosis? Good morning!
Is this the first time we vlogged today?
Yeah.
Wow. We're slacking. It's 5 o'clock.
I know. We had a busy day today. We cleaned the bathrooms and then we cleaned like a new section of the campground.
It's called the group loop.
And I don't think it's been cleaned all season. But we got that cleaned up and then I went on a wag walk. I walked a little puppy. It was so cute. And Taylor's been working all day and that's kind of what we've been doing. So we haven't picked up the camera at all. But today we are doing a different kind of vlog. So Ashley Wilson, who is also a CFer, she's part of Staying Salty. That's a YouTube channel that y'all should check out. I'll put a link below. But her Instagram is Ashley Roses. And she reached out to us and she wanted to do a vlog or a video about CF and Taylor's life with CF.
So, Ashley is launching a YouTube channel called the Blooming Roses Project. The Blooming Roses Project puts a face to a number. Those with cystic fibrosis are more than a number, more than a statistic, and are more than cystic fibrosis. The Roses Project gives others the opportunity to share their story. They can share the good, the bad, advice, lessons they have learned from having CF. Be a rose that blooms in adversity. This is a phrase that Ashley created, which holds a lot of significance. Many cystic fibrosis warriors are familiar with the 65 roses story, hence why roses are a symbol for cystic fibrosis. Every individual has adversity they have to face. Like a flower, once we have pushed through the hard times, we have grown as individuals and have bloomed into a beautiful rose.
Voila.
So that is from Ashley herself, giving us an idea of what the Blooming Roses Project is all about.
Yeah, and we'll put a link below. All of these videos will not be published until I believe mid-June, so you can check it out then. We'll definitely remind y'all when it is up.
So yeah, the Blooming Roses Project is just a place where CFers are going to be able to share their stories, and we were lucky enough for her to ask us to do it. So in this video, we're going to go through some of the questions that she has asked us, and so you'll be able to find it here and on her channel.
Yep. So I'm going to ask the questions and then Taylor's going to answer them, and then I might add some things into it just as a CF spouse perspective or just from kind of someone who does not have CF's perspective. Okay, first question. Are you ready?
Ready.
When were you diagnosed with cystic fibrosis?
My mom told me the story of how I was born, and I'm pretty lucky to be alive now. There was a lot of complications, or a few complications in my early stages of life. When I was still in my mother's womb, my mom was on bed rest in the hospital. I was supposed to be born like anytime soon, I believe, and they had a heart rate monitor hooked up to her to measure my heart rate, and my heart rate stopped, and a whole bunch of nurses rushed in and put my mom in all these positions to try to release. What had happened was my umbilical cord got wrapped around my neck and stopped my pulse, and it stopped my heart. So nurses rushed in, got my mom into these positions, and was able to release that pressure, and my heart started beating again. And when I was being born, I inhaled amniotic fluid, and apparently when you inhale that, it becomes like this sticky substance. So I didn't take the first breath when I was actually born. My mom said I was like the bluest blue she's ever seen a human. I was like a Smurf. So they got all that stuff suctioned out, and I was able to take my first breath. And then the months following that, I had a really hard time gaining weight. I had just a whole bunch of different complications, and my parents would go to the hospital a few times a month just to try to figure out what's going on. And the doctor just said I had a failure to thrive, and just left it as that. And during another checkup after that, my grandma told my parents to say he tasted salty. When my parents took me to the doctor that time, they said, you know, he tastes salty when we kiss him. And yeah, they knew exactly what it was. As soon as they said that, they gave me a sweat test, and it came positive for cystic fibrosis. After that, once they got me on the right medication, were able to give me enzymes, I was able to gain weight and start living a normal life, really. So yeah, that's how I was diagnosed with CF.
Well, that kind of went into question number 2, which was how did they begin to treat you after you're being diagnosed? So they give you the enzymes and
yeah, and they started giving me the typical CF medication. Like before that, I was on nothing, so that caused a lot of complications. So I was able to take enzymes to get my weight up, to digest food. They put me on ADEC because I had a vitamin E deficiency and weird things going on with like the inside my eyes. There was like weird white or yellow spots, I believe it was, and on my tongue. And yeah, so just typical, you know, medication, CF medication. I don't think hypertonic was invented yet back in the day.
Okay, question number 3. What is one word to describe growing up with CF?
I don't know, it was normal.
Was it? It was normal?
Yeah, it's all I knew. It was normal. It was normal for me. Yeah, growing up, you know, it was just a part of the daily routine. I didn't know any differently. I knew my brothers and sisters didn't have it, but I knew I had it, and it was normal. It was normal for me to do my treatments, take my enzymes, and other than that, you know, my yearly tune-ups in the hospital, but it was never
abnormal to you?
It was never abnormal, or it never dictated what I did. My parents really, you know, never said no. I mean, to a degree. You know, I rode dirt bikes, I played sports. There was never any limitations because of CF. We didn't even talk about it much, and really, I didn't talk about it to my friends at all. So it was like, yeah, it was just normal. There was no other way, and I just had to do what I had to do.
What have you learned through having CF?
Everything. I mean, CF has, even though it hasn't taken the driver's seat in my life and dictated where I've been, it's made me the person I am today in every way, shape, and form. You know, if I didn't have CF, I'd probably be a different person now. It's taught me to live every day like, you know, it's your last. And it's really, you know, that's like a cheesy cliche term, but a lot of people who are healthy, you know, it's hard for them to live like that because there's no factor, or there's no variable that's changing that mentality, and CF is that variable that changes that mentality for me. You know, it's taught me not to waste time doing things I don't enjoy, or things, you know, like jobs. It's taught me never to, life is too short to stay doing something you don't like.
Number 5, what are you thankful for from living with CF?
I think it ties into the last question. I'm thankful for my outlook in life. Even though it's difficult at times, and I think CF causes a lot of mental instability, at least in my situation, and sometimes it's hard to have a positive outlook on life, you know, because of the situation, but it has always come back around to that outlook of living every day like it's your last, and prioritizing not your job but your family and your friends and experiences above anything else.
Number 6, what is something you wish people understood about CF?
I think I wish people understood the mental capacity or the mental strength it takes to have CF. It's not easy physically, and it's just as hard mentally and emotionally. I know a handful of CFers that also suffer from depression and anxiety, as I do, and it comes in waves. And having a company focused around cystic fibrosis, you know, it takes a lot of emotional strength and support to continue being in the community. I don't know, this is speaking for me. I don't know if this is all CFers, majority, or the minority of CFers, but for me, I wish people understood that when they're talking about someone who has CF that they know, or a son or a daughter or a mom or dad or brother and sister,
Or a friend
who had CF, who had passed away, I wish they understood when they're talking to other CFers that it's hard for me to hear that there's people with CF out there that have passed away. It's a part of it, but that's one thing that I've struggled with for a long time, is especially having 65 apparel, is when people, and I know people mean good, and I don't want to come off as you know, rude or unappreciative. I know, you know, the people who do comment and message me, and you know, they mean good, but it really gets to me when somebody tells me somebody they knew had CF and they passed away. And I've never, I mean, Kelsey and I talk about it, but I've never said that openly on video. But yeah, there's something that I wish other people understood. And like I said, I know you guys, I know you mean good.
Well, I just think it's so they can relate.
Yeah.
And they want to share their story. But sometimes sharing a story about a death isn't the best for us to hear, because it's sad. It's not.
And it's something that I battle every day. Not my immortality, but my mortality.
What is the most difficult hardship you've had to overcome through CF?
I think the hardest thing that I've had to overcome is the life expectancy. I didn't find out it affected life expectancy until I was like 16. And I'm glad I didn't figure it out until then, because you know, I know a lot of CFers who've known their whole life, and it causes them a lot of depression and a lot of anxiety through, you know, the early stages of life, and it really kind of sculpts the rest of their life, if that makes sense. It dictates the rest of their life. So I'm glad I was able to live a life where that wasn't a factor, and that didn't play a role in my early childhood development. But yeah, when I found out when I was 16, it was very difficult, and I didn't believe it, and I pushed it off until I was a sophomore, junior, senior in college, and then I really let it get to me, and that's when, you know, severe depression hit, and I just had no motivation to do anything in life. And I think through my faith and family and friends, you know, I've been able to overcome that hurdle. And something that all of us have to deal with is nobody is promised tomorrow. CF or not, I have friends who have passed away before I have, and they had no disease. That's probably the most difficult thing, and you know, overcoming that took time, a lot of time. Yeah, and I still let that get to me at times, and I let that get me depressed and worried. But it's always my faith and family that pulls me through.
Last question, what advice do you have for others with CF?
I think my advice to people who have CF is, of course, do your treatments, because if I could go back in time and tell myself to do treatments every day, I would. I'd probably be a lot healthier than I am now, because there was times where I went a week without doing a treatment. So, do your treatments so you can physically be healthier, but also focus on your emotional health as well, your mental health, because it was all about physical growing up, all about physical health, doing treatments, staying active, blah blah blah, and they really never mentioned your mental health. Yeah, just like you work out to stay healthy, you do your treatments, do things to keep your mental health healthy. If that's doing devotions, if that's meditating, if that's
talking to someone,
if that's counseling, if that's medication, if you need medication, but just no, I don't want to put that medication part in there.
Okay.
But yeah, keep working at your mental health just as much as your physical health, because you might be healthy physically, but if you're emotionally sick, it's just like being physically sick. You're just as debilitated if you were physically unhealthy. Another thing I would advise to anyone who has CF is do not be fearful or scared of having CF. Don't feel like you have to hide it. Don't feel like other people are going to judge you for it. All my life I was super quiet and secretive about CF. My best friends didn't even know I have CF. It's because I was scared to be bullied or pitied upon or or told I couldn't. I never wanted that to be a factor in it, but my friends that I have CF, and really the whole story behind it and what I have to go through daily has not only strengthened those relationships, it's allowed them to get closer to what I have to go through, and it just allows me to go through my disease not alone but with other people. And I would just encourage others, if you are scared to tell your friends that you have CF, just don't be, because the true friends are going to be there through the thick and thin, and they're going to help you out, and it's so much better going through that journey with someone than alone.
Alright, that kind of sums up the questions that we were sent. If you do have any other questions about CF, please do not hesitate to comment below. We will definitely answer those questions for you. I know we don't really talk about CF a lot, but we don't let CF define us, and it's not something that we want to talk about all the time, but it's something that we definitely do want to vlog about and have a video about ever so often, to spread more awareness and to teach people what it's like to have cystic fibrosis. Okay, we haven't really done anything but watch TV. It's just relaxed, eat some food. So we're gonna go ahead and end the vlog. Guys, thank you so much for joining our day today. Don't forget to give this vlog a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already. And guys, we will see you tomorrow.
Rusty boy. Hi, buddy. Is it time for bed? Huh? There she is, on your snuggly blanket. Yes, yes you are.